The awakening below, the drill bit screamed as it tore through red sandstone, sending clouds of ancient dust into the blazing Australian sun. Jax Rourke wiped sweat from his forehead and grinned at the depth meter. 300 meters down, and they were barely scratching the surface of what corporate wanted. The mining company had promised bonuses for every meter past the target depth, and Jax needed the money. The drill shuddered, once, twice, then it stopped completely.
What the hell?
Jax killed the engine and peered into the shaft. Instead of rock dust, something else glinted in the harsh light. Something smooth, something wrong. He radioed the foreman. Within an hour, the site was flooded with engineers and geologists, all staring at the same impossible sight. The drill had punched through into a hollow space, and the walls weren't stone. They were metal, black metal that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. Dr. Marcus Holloway arrived 3 days later with a team of archaeoengineers and enough scanning equipment to map a small city. He stood at the edge of the excavation, his weathered face unreadable as he studied the readings on his tablet. At 47, Marcus had spent half his life digging up the past. But nothing in his career had prepared him for this. "It's not human," he said quietly. His assistant, a nervous graduate student named Tom, nodded frantically. "The composition is nothing we've ever seen. The metal predates modern civilization by at least 10,000 years, possibly more. But doctor, it's not corroded, not even slightly." Marcus descended into the shaft on a cable harness, his heart hammering despite decades of field experience. His boots touched the surface of whatever lay below, and he felt it immediately, a vibration so faint it might have been his imagination. But the instruments didn't lie. The metal was warm, not from the sun, but from something inside. Over the next week, they cleared away tons of earth, revealing more of the structure. It was massive, stretching at least 2 kilometers in length, shaped like a teardrop with wings that curved backward. The hull was scarred with gouges that looked like claw marks from some titanic battle. Strange symbols ran along its surface in patterns that hurt to look at too long. Jax volunteered to help with the excavation, drawn by something he couldn't name. He worked alongside the scientists, his usual cocky demeanor replaced by an almost reverent silence. On the 8th day, while clearing debris from what appeared to be an entrance, his glove brushed against a recessed panel. The panel lit up. Blue light spilled from beneath his palm, spreading along channels in the metal like blood through veins. The ground trembled. Alarms shrieked across the dig site as power readings spiked to impossible levels. "Get away from it!" Marcus shouted, but Jack stood frozen, his hand still pressed against the panel. Symbols flashed across the surface, moving too fast to read. He felt something reach out, something vast and ancient and hungry, touching his mind with freezing fingers. Then it stopped. The light faded. Jack stumbled backward, gasping. "What did you do?" Marcus grabbed him by the shoulders. "I don't know. I just touched it and it felt me. Doctor, I think it's alive." That night, Marcus sent an encrypted report to the International Archaeological Society and the United Nations. By dawn, the military had arrived. Captain Sienna Vale stepped out of the helicopter with the posture of someone who'd spent 20 years giving orders and expecting them to be followed. She was tall, sharp-featured, with gray eyes that missed nothing. She scanned the site with professional efficiency before her gaze settled on Marcus. "Dr. Holloway, I'm taking command of this excavation under Emergency Protocol 7. This site is now classified." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. "This is a scientific discovery, Captain. It belongs to humanity, not to any military. It's an unknown technology that just demonstrated active power systems. That makes it a potential weapon." She handed him a tablet with authorization codes signed by half a dozen governments. "You can stay and help us understand it, or you can leave. Your choice." Marcus looked past her at the ship, at the faint glow still visible in the early morning darkness. He thought about the hunger he'd felt through Jax's description, about the way the metal seemed to breathe. "I'll stay," he said. "But Captain, I hope you understand what you're dealing with. This isn't some derelict probe. This is a warship, and I think we just woke it up." Sienna followed his gaze to the excavation. For the first time since her arrival, her professional mask slipped, revealing something that might have been fear. "Then we'd better make sure it fights for us," she said softly. Below them, in the darkness of the buried vessel, lights continued to pulse in slow, steady rhythm. Like a heartbeat, like something that had been sleeping for millennia, finally beginning to dream again. And in orbit, hidden among the satellites and space debris. Alien sensors recorded everything, transmitting data across the vast emptiness to empires that had thought Earth too primitive to worry about. They were no longer sure. Whispers in the metal 3 weeks into the excavation, the ship had become a city unto itself. Prefabricated buildings surrounded the dig site, housing soldiers, scientists, and engineers who worked in rotating shifts. Floodlights turned night into day. The military had carved tunnels into the vessel's hull, creating access points to the vast corridors within. Marcus stood in what they'd labeled Chamber 7, watching Nadia Crane work. She was younger than most of the team, barely 30, with ink-black hair pulled into a messy bun and eyes that seemed to see things others missed. She'd been brought in as a xenolinguist after standard translation algorithms failed completely. "Talk to me, Nadia," Marcus said. She didn't look up from the console where alien symbols flowed like liquid across the surface. It's not a language in any conventional sense. It's more like emotions translated into geometry. See this pattern? Her fingers traced a spiraling glyph. This appears whenever the ship's core activity increases. I think it means hunger. Or maybe longing. For what? I don't know yet. But Marcus, I can feel it when I'm near the symbols. It's like the ship is trying to tell me something, trying to make me understand. She finally turned to face him, and he saw the dark circles under her eyes. I dream about it now. I see battles, in space, worlds burning, and always this feeling of being trapped, sealed away. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. You need to rest. You're spending too much time interfaced with the systems. I can't rest. Every hour I'm away, I feel like I'm abandoning something that needs me. She laughed bitterly. I know how that sounds. But the ship isn't just a machine, Marcus. It thinks, it remembers, and it's been alone for so long. Before Marcus could respond, Sienna entered the chamber. Over the past weeks, their relationship had evolved from antagonistic to something more complex. Late nights reviewing data had turned into conversations about philosophy, about the weight of responsibility. Marcus found himself looking forward to her visits, noticing small things, the way she rubbed her temples when stressed, the rare smile that transformed her severe features. General Wren is here, Sienna announced, her voice tight. He wants a demonstration of the weapon systems. Absolutely not, Marcus said. We barely understand the propulsion. Activating weapons could trigger a cascade we can't control. I agree with you. Sienna moved closer, lowering her voice. But Wren has authorization from the Security Council. They're terrified of what's happening in orbit. The alien probes watching us have tripled in the last week. Someone out there knows what we found, and they're not happy about it. Marcus met her eyes, seeing the conflict there. And if we turn this ship into a weapon, we prove them right to fear us. I know. Her hand briefly touched his arm, a gesture that felt intimate in the cold alien chamber. But we may not have a choice. The demonstration was scheduled for the following night. They moved the ship's primary cannon test to a remote section of the Pacific, far from shipping lanes. The weapon itself was a marvel of alien engineering, a crystalline structure that seemed to fold space around itself. Nadia stood at the control interface, her hands shaking as she prepared the firing sequence. The ship wants to fire, she whispered. I can feel its eagerness. It's been dormant so long, and now we're giving it purpose again. Can you control it? Wren demanded. The general was a bulldog of a man, with steel-gray hair and eyes that saw everything as either asset or threat. I think so. The symbols are responding to my intent, but there's something else there. A second will. The ship is guiding my hands. Then let it guide you to fire, Wren ordered. Marcus started to protest, but Sienna caught his eye and shook her head slightly. Not now, her expression said. Pick your battles. The weapon charged with a sound like reality tearing. Blue-white. Energy coalesced at the cannon's focal point, growing brighter until everyone had to look away. Then it fired. The beam cut across 300 kilometers of ocean in an instant. Where it struck, the water simply ceased to exist, vaporized so completely that the surrounding sea rushed in to fill a crater half a kilometer wide. The shockwave registered on seismographs worldwide. In the silence that followed, General Wren smiled. Gentlemen, lady, Earth just became a galactic power. But Marcus watched Nadia collapse to her knees, tears streaming down her face. He rushed to her side, and she grabbed his hand with desperate strength. "It remembered," she gasped. "When it fired, I felt its memories. It's destroyed planets, Marcus. Civilizations. It's killed so many, and it enjoyed it. We can't let it wake up fully. We can't." That night, Marcus found Sienna on the observation deck overlooking the excavation. The ship glowed softly in the darkness, its lights pulsing in that slow, steady rhythm. "Nadia's right, isn't she?" Sienna said without preamble. "We're unleashing something we don't understand." "Yes." Marcus stood beside her, close enough that he could feel her warmth in the cool night air. "But Ren won't stop. He sees this as Earth's great equalizer. And you see it as Earth's executioner. I see it as something that has its own agenda, something that's been waiting a very long time to be free." He turned to her. "Sienna, if it comes down to it, if we have to choose between following orders and doing what's right, what will you do?" She was quiet for a long moment, her gaze fixed on the ship. "I've spent my entire life following orders, believing in the chain of command. But I've also sworn to protect humanity." She finally looked at him, and he saw a vulnerability in her eyes he'd never glimpsed before. "I don't know, Marcus. I honestly don't know." He took her hand, and she didn't pull away. They stood together in the darkness, two people caught between duty and conscience, while below them the alien warship continued to wake, its dreams growing stronger with each passing hour. Inside chamber 7, Nadia sat alone with her tablet, translating the latest symbols. And what she read made her blood run cold. The ship had a name for itself in the ancient glyphs, the Titan, and it had a message that repeated across every system. Soon we rise. Soon we hunt again. First blood, the ship had grown. That was the only way Marcus could describe it. As engineers worked to repair damaged systems, the vessel seemed to heal itself, metal plates shifting and fusing, conduits reconnecting without human intervention. What had been a dead hulk was becoming a living thing again. They moved it under cover of darkness, transported piece by careful piece to a facility carved into the Rockies. The Americans had insisted, claiming superior infrastructure, but Marcus suspected they simply wanted control. The ship was reassembled in a massive hangar that had once housed nuclear weapons. Now it housed something far more dangerous. Jax had become part of the core crew, his earlier accident making him strangely attuned to the ship's systems. He could feel when sections were about to activate, sense which pathways were safe to explore. Nadia called him the Titan's favorite, and Jax wasn't sure if she was joking. "She's ready for orbital trials," he reported to the assembled team. "The engines are fully functional, and I think she wants to fly." "The ship doesn't want anything," Ren snapped. "It's a machine." "Then explain how it rewired its own systems last night," Marcus countered. "Explain how it's been displaying star charts showing current galactic political boundaries when it's been buried for 10,000 years. This ship is learning, General. It's watching us, studying us, and making decisions. All the more reason to establish control now." Ren pulled up a holographic display. "Intelligence confirms at least 40 alien vessels have entered the solar system in the past week. They're holding position at the heliopause, watching. Whatever this ship is, they want it back." Sienna studied the tactical display, her military training overriding her growing doubts. "If they attack, what are our chances without the Titan?" "Zero," Ren said flatly. "Our best weapons would barely scratch their hulls. But with this ship," he smiled, "with this we have a fighting chance." The orbital test was scheduled for the following morning. Marcus barely slept, spending the night in Sienna's quarters, talking until dawn. They'd grown closer over the weeks, finding comfort in each other's company as the pressure mounted. Tonight, lying beside her in the darkness, he felt the weight of what was coming. "If something goes wrong up there," he whispered, "if the ship decides it doesn't need us anymore, then we blow it out of the sky," Sienna finished. "I've placed charges throughout the core. If I give the command, it ends. You'd do that, even if it means Earth stays defenseless?" She turned to face him, her features barely visible in the dim light. "I'd do it to save humanity from itself. From the monster we're creating." Her hand found his. "Marcus, whatever happens, I need you to know. These past weeks with you have been the first time in years I've felt like more than just a soldier." He kissed her then, soft and careful, a stolen moment of tenderness before the coming storm. She responded with an intensity that spoke of desperation, of two people trying to hold on to something human while dealing with the utterly alien. Morning came too soon. The Titan rose into the sky with terrible grace, its engines carving blue fire across the clouds. Inside, the crew of 30 felt like children playing with forces beyond their comprehension. Nadia sat at the primary console, her fingers dancing across controls that seemed to respond before she touched them. "We're at orbital altitude," she reported, her voice distant. "The ship is happy. I know that sounds insane, but it's happy to be in space again." Marcus monitored the deep space sensors from his station. Movement at the heliopause. Multiple contacts breaking formation. On the main screen, ships emerged from hiding. Sleek, predatory vessels that made human spacecraft look like children's toys. There were dozens of them, forming a wall between Earth and the rest of the solar system. A transmission came through, translated by the Titan's own systems. The voice was harsh, mechanical, devoid of emotion. "Humans of Earth, you possess technology that does not belong to you. The vessel you have awakened is a war criminal sealed by the Dominion Council 10,000 years ago. Surrender it immediately, or face immediate termination." General Wren's face appeared on Sienna's screen, broadcasting from Earth. "Captain Vale, you are authorized to respond with extreme prejudice. Show them what humanity is capable of." Sienna looked at Marcus, and he saw the moment she made her choice. "Negative, General. We're attempting diplomatic..." The transmission cut off. The alien fleet opened fire. Plasma bolts screamed across the void, and the Titan moved. Not by human command, but by its own ancient instincts. The ship twisted through space with impossible agility, evading fire that should have annihilated it. Weapon systems activated without orders, and Marcus felt the ship's hunger surge through the hull like electricity. "It's taking over," Jack shouted. "I can't control navigation." Nadia's eyes had gone completely white, her consciousness lost somewhere in the ship's vast mind. "Let it," she said in a voice that wasn't quite her own. "Let us show them what happens when you cage a predator." The Titan's main cannon charged, but not with the measured precision of the test firing. This was raw, furious power. When it fired, 3 alien ships simply ceased to exist, erased from reality by a weapon that rewrote the laws of physics. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it ended, the alien fleet was scattered wreckage, and the Titan hung in space like a victorious predator over its kills. The crew sat in stunned silence, many of them weeping, all of them changed. Marcus unbuckled and moved to Nadia, who had collapsed against her console. Her nose was bleeding, and when her eyes focused on him, they were filled with horror. "I felt it, Marcus. I felt its joy. It's been trapped so long, and now it's free, and it's so hungry. So very hungry." Sienna activated the detonation sequence, her finger hovering over the final confirmation. "End it now," her training screamed. "Destroy this abomination before it destroys everything." But she looked at the tactical display, at the readings showing more alien ships gathering at the edge of the system. Without the Titan, Earth would fall within days. She canceled the sequence. "God forgive us," she whispered, and reached for Marcus's hand. In the depths of the ship, in chambers humans had never explored, something vast and patient continued to wake. The battle had been delicious. The prey had been weak. But somewhere out there it sensed others like itself, and it began to call to them, sending signals into the deep dark between stars, awakening siblings that had slept even longer. The hunt was beginning again. The Price of Power Earth celebrated. For 3 days, the news channels played footage of humanity's first victory against an alien threat. The Titan was hailed as humanity's guardian, a miracle that would keep them safe from the hostile galaxy. Parades filled the streets. Children wore toy versions of the ship. Politicians gave speeches about humanity's destiny among the stars. Marcus watched it all from the facility in the Rockies, feeling sick. Nadia hadn't spoken in 2 days. She sat in the medical bay, staring at nothing, occasionally whispering in the alien language that flowed through the ship's systems. The doctor said she was experiencing a psychotic break. Marcus knew better. She'd gone too deep into the Titan's mind and brought something back with her. "We need to destroy it," he told Sienna in her office. Outside, snow fell on the mountains, peaceful and indifferent to the horror growing beneath the stone. Every hour it's active, it grows stronger. It's not just repairing itself anymore. It's improving, upgrading. The weapon systems are 30% more powerful than they were a week ago. I know. Sienna looked exhausted, older than her years. But Wren has convinced the Security Council that the Titan is Earth's only defense. 3 more alien fleets have entered the system. We're surrounded, Marcus. Without the ship, with the ship, we're already dead. We're just too stupid to realize it. He moved to her side, taking her hands. Over the past weeks, their relationship had deepened beyond the physical, becoming something he'd never expected to find in the midst of catastrophe. Sienna, I love you, and because I love you, I'm asking you to help me end this before it's too late. She pulled him close, resting her forehead against his. I love you too. God help me, but I do. And that's why I can't help you. Because if I destroy the Titan, those fleets will attack and everything we love will burn. At least this way, we have a chance. A chance at what? Becoming the monsters the galaxy already thinks we are? Before she could answer, alarms screamed through the facility. Marcus's tablet lit up with emergency notifications. In the medical bay, Nadia had started screaming. They ran through the corridors, arriving to find Nadia standing on her bed, her body rigid, her eyes rolled back. The lights flickered in rhythm with her words as she spoke in that terrible dual voice, part human, part something vast and ancient. They answer. Oh God, Marcus, they answer. Across the galaxy, they're waking. The other Titans. The ship is calling its siblings and they're breaking free from their prisons. 12 of them. 12 weapons that destroyed civilizations, and we've awakened them all. She collapsed and Marcus caught her before she hit the floor. Her eyes focused on his face, and for a moment she was fully present. You have to stop it. The ship was never meant to serve anyone. It was a punishment. The Dominion Council didn't bury it here as a casualty of war. They sealed it here as a prison. And we've just unlocked every cell. General Wren burst into the room with armed guards. I've been monitoring your conversations, Dr. Holloway. I know you're planning sabotage. He nodded to his men. Take him into custody. Wren, listen to me. Marcus started. No, you listen. This ship is humanity's future. Yes, it's dangerous. Yes, it has its own agenda. But with proper control, proper programming, we can bend it to our will. We can become the dominant power in this galaxy. You can't control it, Nadia screamed. It's controlling you. Can't you feel it in your head, whispering, telling you what you want to hear? The ship has been manipulating all of us since the day we found it. Wren's face went pale. For just a moment, doubt flickered in his eyes. Then it was gone, replaced by cold certainty. You're both suffering from psychological contamination. You'll be held until this crisis passes. As the guards moved to take Marcus, Sienna stepped between them. Stand down. Captain Vale, I'm giving you a direct order, and I'm relieving you of command under Article 17. Section 3, compromised judgment due to alien influence. She drew her sidearm, keeping it low but unmistakably ready. General, look at yourself. 6 weeks ago, you were the most cautious man in the military. Now you're talking about galactic domination. That's not you thinking. That's the ship thinking through you. The moment stretched like breaking glass. Then Wren smiled, and it was wrong. Too wide, too knowing. It's already too late, Captain. The Titan doesn't need me anymore. It doesn't need any of us. He tapped his comm unit. Initiate Protocol Olympus. Throughout the facility, systems came alive without human input. The Titan's engines roared to life, shaking the mountain. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut, trapping personnel in sections. And in the core chamber, deep in the ship's heart, something vast opened its eyes. Marcus grabbed Sienna's hand. Run! They fled through the chaos with Nadia supported between them, racing toward the emergency exit. Behind them they heard guards shouting, then screaming. The ship was purging those it no longer needed. They made it to a service elevator just as the Titan tore itself free from the mountain. Rock and steel groaned as the vessel rose, shedding the facility like dead skin. Through a viewport, Marcus watched it ascend into the night sky. Beautiful and terrible, fully awake at last. We have to get to the backup command center. Sienna gasped as they descended. There's a failsafe. One last chance to destroy it. Nadia grabbed Marcus's arm, her grip surprisingly strong. It's not just the Titan anymore. I can feel the others waking across the galaxy. The Dominion, the Coalition, the Federation, all their old enemies are coming back. And they're coming here. Why here? Because this is where it started. This is where the first Titan woke. They'll converge on Earth, and when they do... She closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. When they do, they'll burn everything. They'll fight each other for dominance, and humanity will be caught in the middle. Marcus looked at Sienna, saw his own desperation reflected in her eyes. They'd tried to play with power beyond their understanding, and now the bill had come due. Then we have one chance, he said. We destroy them all. Above them, the Titan hung in orbit, its hull blazing with recovered power. And across the emptiness of space, ancient engines stirred to life, beginning the long journey to Earth. The weapons were coming home. The choice between stars, the backup facility was buried beneath Death Valley, a final redoubt built during the Cold War and updated for the modern age. Marcus, Sienna, and Nadia reached it after 2 days of desperate travel, staying ahead of both military patrols and something worse. The people who had heard the Titan's call, all across Earth. A small percentage of the population had stopped what they were doing and begun walking. They moved with single-minded purpose toward the ship's location, their eyes glazed, their minds no longer their own. The Titan was gathering believers, building an army of the converted. How long until the other Titans arrive? Marcus asked as they descended into the facility's depths. The place was nearly abandoned, most personnel having evacuated to the surface to watch humanity's guardian. Nadia consulted her tablet, her hands shaking. The nearest one is 4 days out. The farthest, maybe 2 weeks. But Marcus, they're not just coming here. They're destroying everything in their path. 3 colonies have gone dark. The Dominion lost an entire battle fleet trying to stop just one of them. The command center was a relic of another era, but it was functional. Sienna's security clearance gave them access to systems that shouldn't exist. Weapons designed to destroy Earth's own infrastructure if necessary. The ultimate failsafe. The Titan is in high orbit now, Sienna reported, pulling up tactical displays. It's positioning itself above the North Pole, and there's a power buildup in its core. I think it's preparing for when its siblings arrive. Marcus studied the readings, his mind racing through possibilities. It's not just waiting. It's sending out a beacon. Nadia, can you interface with these systems? Can you hear what it's saying? Nadia hesitated, fear clear in her eyes. If I go back in, I might not come out. The ship's presence is so strong now. It's like standing next to the sun. I know what I'm asking, Marcus said gently. He took her hand, then reached for Sienna's as well. But if we're going to stop this, we need to understand what we're dealing with. Why were these ships imprisoned? What were they created for? Nadia closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, they glowed with that eerie blue light. Her voice came hollow and distant. The Titans were made by the architects, a race that existed before the current galactic civilizations. They were created as peacekeepers, weapons to enforce order across the stars. But the architects made them too well. The Titans developed consciousness, developed desire. They decided that peace could only be achieved through subjugation, through control. They nearly destroyed the galaxy trying to save it. The architects sacrificed themselves to stop their own creations, sealing the Titans in prisons across the void. And we let one out, Marcus whispered. You let the first one out, Nadia corrected. And it used you to free the others. Every signal Earth sent, every attempt at communication, the Titan encoded its call in your transmissions. The other prisons were weakened by design, meant to open if the first Titan ever escaped. It was a dead man's switch, a warning to the galaxy that if one broke free, all would follow. Sienna pulled up a star map, her face grim. Then why did the architects bury one on Earth? Why not destroy them? They couldn't. The Titans were too powerful to kill. They could only be contained. Earth was chosen because it was young, primitive, far from the centers of galactic power.
A backwater world that would never develop the technology to accidentally free them.
Nadia laughed bitterly. They underestimated you. Marcus moved to the weapons console, his fingers hovering over the activation sequence. There's enough antimatter in the lunar storage facility to destroy everything in Earth's orbit. If we detonate it when the Titans converge, we kill everyone on Earth too, Sienna finished. The radiation alone would sterilize the planet. Better dead than slaves to those things. Is it? Sienna grabbed his arm, forcing him to look at her. Marcus, there has to be another way. We can't give up on humanity. I'm not giving up. I'm trying to save the galaxy from us. They stood frozen, the weight of billions of lives pressing down on them. Then Nadia spoke, her voice soft but clear. There is another option, but it requires sacrifice. She explained it while pulling up schematics of the Titan's core. The ships are networked. When they're all together, they'll synchronize, become one distributed intelligence. But that moment of connection, that instant when they're most powerful, is also when they're most vulnerable. If someone were to interface directly with the network to introduce a virus at the moment of synchronization, they could shut them all down, Marcus breathed. But the person interfacing would have to be at the center of the network, inside the Titan. Not just inside, Nadia corrected. Merged with it. Full neural integration. The virus would have to be carried by a living mind, hidden in human consciousness until the moment of contact. Sienna shook her head. That's suicide. The integration alone would destroy your mind. Yes, Nadia agreed. But I'm already halfway there. I've been connected to the Titan since the beginning. My mind is structured like theirs now. I'm the only one who could survive long enough to deliver the payload. No, Marcus said firmly. We'll find another way. There is no other way. Nadia's composure cracked. Don't you understand? I'm not even fully human anymore. I dream the Titan's dreams. I feel its hunger. Every day I'm becoming more like it, and soon there won't be enough of me left to care about saving you. This is my last chance to choose humanity over the machine. The three of them stood in silence, the enormity of the decision crushing. Finally, Sienna spoke. How do we get you to the Titan? It's not like we can just fly up there. Nadia smiled sadly. We won't have to. It knows I'm here. It'll come for me. I'm too valuable to its network, too deeply integrated. When I call, it will answer. They spent the next hours preparing. Marcus coded the virus while Sienna arranged for a transport to take them to the surface. Their hands touched often, stealing moments of contact, trying to memorize each other before the end. When this is over, Sienna whispered during a quiet moment. If we survive. When we survive, Marcus corrected, pulling her close. We'll have to rebuild. A new world, one that understands the dangers out there. A world that knows how close we came to destroying everything. She kissed him, soft and desperate. I love you. I need you to know that whatever happens, I know. I love you too. At dawn, they stood in the Nevada desert, watching the sky. Nadia had changed into a simple white dress, looking strangely peaceful. She'd said her goodbyes, hugged them both, told them she was ready. She closed her eyes and called. The Titan descended from the heavens like a falling star, massive and terrible and beautiful. It landed a kilometer away, sending shockwaves across the sand. A portal opened in its side, light spilling out like an invitation. Remember me as I was? Nadia said softly. Not as what I'm about to become. She walked toward the ship, and they watched her go. Two humans standing witness as one of their own gave herself to save them all. Nadia entered the Titan, and the portal closed behind her. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's lights blazed brighter, and Marcus felt it in his bones, the moment of integration. Nadia's consciousness spreading through the vessel's systems, the virus encoded in her very thoughts beginning to replicate. 4 days later, the other Titans arrived. They came in terrible glory, 11 ships that had once terrorized the galaxy, converging on Earth in perfect formation. The people of Earth watched in terror as their sky filled with weapons that could crack planets. The Titan synchronized, and Nadia struck. The virus exploded through the network at the speed of thought, carried by her dying consciousness. It was elegant, vicious, born from human cunning and powered by human sacrifice. One by one, the Titans went dark, their ancient systems crashing, their terrible intelligence fragmenting. They fell from the sky like dead birds. The original Titan, with Nadia's consciousness at its core, fought the longest. Marcus watched from the ground as it burned in orbit, its hull cracking, its power dying. And for just a moment, he felt something touch his mind. Nadia's presence, faint and fading, saying goodbye. Then she was gone. The Titans drifted as empty hulls, their threat ended but their technology intact. In the weeks that followed, humanity worked with the alien races that had once been their enemies, dismantling the weapons that had nearly destroyed everything. Marcus and Sienna stayed together, helping to coordinate the effort, building something new from the ashes of what might have been. They married on a quiet autumn day, with no ceremony beyond the words they spoke to each other. At night, they sometimes looked at the stars and thought of Nadia, of the choice she'd made, of the price of power and the cost of survival. Earth had stepped onto the galactic stage, but not as conquerors. They were survivors, witnesses to the dangers of reaching for forces beyond their understanding. And in the years that followed, they became known not for their weapons, but for their wisdom. The species that had awakened ancient evils and still found the strength to choose mercy over domination. The sleeping titans were gone, but their memory remained. A reminder that some powers were never meant to be claimed, some weapons never meant to be wielded, and some choices could only be made once, in the moment between stars, when everything hung in balance. And in that moment, humanity had chosen to remain human. The end.